What's up, man?
Hey, not too much. It was a good time. So I was at PAX. I didn't get to watch the games. How'd they go?
So Omar God did his best smithing impression, and he pulled a Sejuani ult.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's when I knew it was all over for Dignitas.
Oh, okay. Oh, he did the good Smithy impression. Oh.
No,
okay,
he completely whiffed his ult.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter because we're CLG, and
we're CLG.
You expect us to lose, we're gonna win.
Exactly. That's exactly what the caster said. Everyone was against us. They're like, oh yeah, Dignitas. And then CLG. It's fantastic.
How was PAX, man?
It was fun. I was only there for Saturday. I saw a bunch of people in CLG jerseys. It was kind of nice. But only one guy wanted his picture taken, so hopefully we'll have that in the video. And I couldn't find Void. I was a little depressed I didn't get to find Void. Yeah, because they weren't playing Smash on Saturday.
Okay.
It was Friday, Monday is the only day they were doing Smash. So I kind of like checked out the Corsair booth and kind of walked around a bunch. But based off his Twitter, he seemed to be kind of out and about the city.
Got it.
On those. But I mean, hey, he's got a paid trip to Seattle. He's not going to say no to that.
I wish I had a paid trip to Seattle. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no kidding, hey?
All right, let's get started with the podcast.
Yeah, let's get started.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is episode, 31?
31.
31.
Yeah, you missed out on episode, the big 30.
31 of the CLG Faithful Podcast. I'm your host, Nefarious.
Yeah.
You know my co-host, Artron.
What's up, guys?
All right, so we're going to start things off with some League of Legends, like always. And if you've been living under a rock for a little while, CLG currently was up against Dignitas in the fourth place match after getting knocked out 3-0 by Immortals in the semifinals for NA playoffs. Now, this playoffs matchup was actually really important because the winner of this matchup gets to be seated a little higher in the gauntlet, which
So you get that initial buy.
Right. So the current people in the gauntlet are FlyQuest, who is going to play the loser of CLG versus Dignitas. The winner of that will play the winner of this series, and the winner of that will ultimately go up and face against Cloud9.
Yeah.
So, let's start. Game 1. Why don't you tell us how the pick and bans went?
Yeah, so it was a pretty solid pick and ban. I mean, initially Dignitas bans Aurelion Sol, of course. And then they ban Rakan as well as Vel'Koz. So it's like right out the bat, two target bans against HuHi. CLG counters with the Zac ban, the Kalista ban, and the Maokai ban. So I kind of like the Maokai ban because I've yet to see Omar God or Darshan really do an amazing Maokai game. And the ban against kind of the Shrimp Sunday ban against Maokai was pretty good choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, right into there, CLG takes up J4 and Stixxay takes up Kog'Maw. And then Altec first picked Tristana. So, first picking the Tristana, I think, was Dignitas' first mistake. In this kind of a meta right now, I think the Kog'Maw is definitely the better pick.
It depends on how you want to play it, though.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, then the second round comes around. Shrimp picks up Elise and Adrian takes Thresh. CLG picks up Lucian for HuHi. And then third round, Afromood gets his signature Morgana. Remember that. And Keen takes Talia. And Someday ends up getting Shrimp. He ends up getting Shen. And then the final pick for CLG, the Sejuani for Omar God.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty well done because it allowed CLG to have that flex of, is J4 going to go mid or jungle? Top or jungle? The blind pick Lucian, which HuHi is not shown too much play on. I'm trying to remember if he played it already or not. But
he has, I think, in the playoffs played Lucian.
Okay.
But I don't remember exactly how well that went.
At any rate, it was actually a super action-packed series. So right off the bat, Dignitas is starting near their bot side. So Dignitas is actually blue this series. This particular game. And Shrimp starts off near his Raptor camp. Now, CLG, on the other hand, they managed to weave their way around with Omargod and Darshan, and they managed to steal away the blue buff from Keen on the Elise. Now, he tries to respond back by taking away Omar's Raptor camps, and a small little skirmish occurs, and Omar's a little bit low. Omar then manages to path around and takes his blue buff just before Elise comes in with a flash cocoon, and he just barely managed to dash away and into the range of the Black Shield.
It was so close.
Right, and Omargod was really low after this, but he did not want to get 3 buffed. So, well, what happens after that?
So right after that, yeah, it's about, we're about 4 minutes, 40 seconds into the game or so. 2 separate 1v1s occur near Topside River, and it quickly turns into basically one big 2v2 brawl. Darshan actually ends up picking up first blood against Shrimp, which is amazing to get J4 kind of really going with that first blood. And upon going back to lane, he hits 6 and instantly goes ham on Shen. Unfortunately, he can't find the last auto he needed. He was completely out of mana and like chasing Someday under his turret. Decides, you know what, I'm not safe running under turret. But at this point, Keen on Talia has roamed up with his Weaver's Wall, and the two, so Someday and Talia, or Someday and Keen, they both attempt to kill Darshan. Omar actually flashes forward on Sejuani and picks up the kill on Shen, saving Darshan, but goes down in the process. It's a 2-for-1 for CLG, with CLG also getting first blood, so I mean that's a huge boon for us.
And not only that, Talia is also first to burn her flash, so that puts CLG massively ahead. Then, around the 9-minute mark, there's a crazy team fight that happens near the blue buff side for CLG, and interestingly enough, no one managed to die from either side, but a ton of summoners and ultimates were blown from Dignitas, and all of it ends up getting them absolutely nothing. This allows CLG to pick up the Cloud Drake pretty much for free off the back of this skirmish. Then, fast forward a few minutes from there, Dignitas actually makes a really proactive play and conducts a 4-man dive onto CLG bot lane after their bot lane somewhat loses a bit of a trade. And this gives Dignitas an easy double kill and first turret gold. And CLG retaliates this by trying to force mid and bot at the same time. Unfortunately, Dignitas is also able to take their top side just a minute later. So, after all this little bit of trading, everyone's forced to reset, and Elise tries to solo the Rift Herald. And she is successful at it, but then CLG closes in super fast, and Shrimp decides, you know what? I'm going to get this Rift Herald, even if I have to die for it. CLG just say, okay, we'll just pick up the second Cloud Drake on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I saw that fight, and I mean, at first I thought it was a really bad choice by Shrimp to go back and collect the, to basically be on the Rift Herald when CLG is kind of closing in on him. And then he actually picks the Rift Herald up, and I was like, okay, that's not bad. He picks it up and then dies, and then he's got, 3 or 4 minutes to use it.
Right.
And they actually put pretty good use to that Rift Herald as well.
Mm-hmm.
They sent it down mid and took out 2 towers, I believe, with it. But, I mean, during their siege, Darshan really initiates and is able to trap 2 in his Cataclysm before he goes down. This allows CLG to get 2 kills and the bot inhib outer tower. Upon their retreat, though, we went back and take the Ocean Drake, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You completely missed the part where CLG managed to take a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally did.
Yeah, so what happens is a little after, right around the 20-minute mark, HuHi's going through River and he finds an Elise, and he says, hey, I can kill this Elise. Gets her super low, and at that point, CLG takes a fight, and in the end, HuHi and Stixxay both pick up double kills, and that results in the Baron for CLG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which then goes to the point which Archon just mentioned, and that goes into their siege. And, once they've all respawned and healed up, CLG siege bot again, this time destroying an inhibitor and 1 Nexus tower. They play it safe, retreat, heal up one more time, and make a final push to end the game. And during this last push near the top side, HuHi dies for the first time this series on Lucian.
Yeah. He was pretty crazy on Lucian. He had some really clutch ults, as well as just, a couple of really good plays, kind of using the dash to just mitigate a lot of damage by just not being in the skill shot area.
And a lot of them were pretty offensive dashes too.
Yeah, like it wasn't just like, oh, I need to sidestep this. It's like, I'm going to sidestep this and deal a boatload of damage. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's move on to game 2.
Yeah, so CLG takes game 1.
Right. So moving on to game 2, CLG bans once again the Maokai, and then changed it up a little bit by banning Cassiopeia and Thresh. Dignitas bans Callista, Aurelion Sol, and they dropped the Vel'Koz ban in favor of Kog'Maw. Now,
yeah, they really didn't like that Kog'Maw last game.
So this time CLG is blue side, and they said to first pick the Zac. And if you're having flashbacks to the Envy game, it's actually not so bad. We'll get into that in just a second. Dignitas responds by picking up, once again, the Tristana, but this time takes away the J4 from Darshan. And so they're just like, that's cool. We'll pick up the Lovers bot lane with Xayah and Rakan. So, following that, Dignitas is like, alright, that's fine. We'll pick up Gragas, and we'll get a pretty strong tank jungler. Moving to the second phase of bans, they go ahead and ban the Cho'Gath and the Taliyah, with Dignitas responding in kind with Renekton and Gnar. The CLG is like, alright, that's cute. Give me the Camille. And once
putting the Darshan on Camille was a good choice.
Yeah. HuHi rounds up the composition by picking up the Orianna. Then, what does Dignitas do? They decide to end it up with picking up Corki. Oh, and I forgot to mention that at some point, they also did end up picking up the Janna for Adrian.
Mm-hmm. I was actually a little bit scared when I was watching the VODs for this game, and they picked up the Tristana Janna lane. Like, that's a lot of disengage on the bot lane, and that level 5 shield on a Tristana makes sieging really scary.
Yeah, with Ardent Sensor, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. With the power of Ardent Sensor and the shield on Janna, I was kind of shaking. I was like, crap.
So then you saw the game start, and what happens in the first minute?
So by about a minute 10 in, Aphromoo actually forces Janna to blow her flash.
Yep.
And I mean, if everyone knows who plays League of Legends, a Janna without flash, especially prior to level 6, is basically a free kill.
Yeah, she is relying pretty much only on her ability to dodge stuff and her tornado.
Exactly. So J4 and Gragas actually invade onto Omargod's jungle near the blue buff, but they're actually forced to turn as everyone except for Xayah, so except for Stixxay, show up for the party. Afro flashes and uses the grand entrance to enable HuHi to pick up the first blood. So right before Gragas goes down, Omar actually uses his stretching strikes on the Gragas and flashes and uses it again on J4, preventing the escape. So this allows Darshan to come down and get ahead in the top lane match as he gets the kill.
And Darshan uses that goal and invests super heavily for laning. So on top of the corrupting potion, he picks up a Doran's Blade. That's a lot of early laning power. Mm-hmm. And he uses it to bully Someday pretty well. So moving forward a little bit, excuse me. So around the 7-minute mark, Omargod invades on Dignitas' jungle side, and CLG have a 4-man collapse. And this is right after HuHi has a fantastic shockwave that ends up preventing Corki from escaping and Gragas from escaping. And Zac picks up both of those kills. And from here, CLG just manages to completely take over the red side jungle of Dignitas. And the end result of this is CLG gets a little bit of vision for a couple of minutes, but then Dignitas try to make a retaliation attempt and take the top tower. And they botch the dive because Someday dies in the process. This leaves Stixxay free to take the bot lane tower for the first turret gold, and he gets all to himself. Darshan then goes and he stops Altec's recall, and this allows Stixxay to get the early rotation top before Dignitas can react at all. However, Someday manages to respawn and he TPs in, and Dignitas are able to slice down our bot lane and then take the tower in the end. And it was super important that they did that for them, because otherwise CLG would have been just rolling over with the game.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, right then, by the 15-minute mark, HuHi actually lands a max range shockwave on the Corki. So this allows Darshan to leap in and box Keen in with the Camille Hextech ultimatum. And as a result, CLG takes the first 2 mid lane towers. So they're like, okay, so you guys got one of our towers. That's great. We're going to go take 2 of yours mid lane. Just 2 of us. That's fine. So as CLG resets, Dignitas actually picks up the Herald, and CLG opts into securing the Ocean Drake, which, as you saw in the previous game, Ocean Drake is actually really powerful, especially if you're looking to siege a little bit or split push. Mm-hmm. It just, once that kicks in, when you haven't taken any damage, it's like basically a small Warmogs.
I can never remember the time where we had Darshan on the Gragas with Warmogs, Spirit Visage, and Triple Ocean.
I remember that. That was just like, he walks away and then comes back 5 seconds later and he's full health.
Yeah. It's like Garen, but useful.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Garen, but he has abilities that actually do things.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Even though Dignitas picks up the Rift Herald, they actually aren't able to get any value out of it because Darshan is pushing the bot lane and says, "Oh, there's a Rift Herald here," because they were forced to use it in their base as soon as one of them responds. It's like, "Oh, I have to use this now, otherwise it's gonna go away." Darshan's like, "That's cute. I'm gonna kill it real quick." So as
free bonus gold.
Yeah, pretty much a really big scary minion. But as the skirmish breaks out in mid lane, Someday actually dies, and CLG is able to push down mid. Now, Someday uses his Cataclysm before he dies. Dignitas is able to stall out a little bit, and upon respawning, Someday manages to TP behind CLG and attempts to flank them, but he already used his Cataclysm, so most of his initiation damage is already gone, and no one on CLG dies. But this fight is still super close because God lives on Zac with just 8 hit points. And
8 health.
Yeah, and the Altec actually managed to rocket jump out of the shockwave and just barely live. Otherwise, he would have died from that for sure. Of course, crazy. He's on Zac, so it's like, I've got my passive. What's the big deal?
Yeah, but I mean, you want to have that passive for a more prolonged fight,
Oh, like, absolutely.
You want to have your passive pop while they need to pop your passive and then change to focus on someone else while you come back up.
Right. So there's a few more skirmishes that occur, but Darshan at around the 27-minute mark, you know what? Screw this. He's going to force an engage. Okay, he doesn't actually. It's a little more calculated than that, but he forces an engage, and he just barely lives because Aphromoo has to jump in with the Grand Entrance and saves him by also using his ultimate to charm everyone around him. Darshan is able to leap out, and CLG actually plays it really well because Altec manages to miss position just a little bit and disrespects the Orianna ball position. He eats a shockwave and then he's killed by the Feather Storm, which gets launched out and Xayah rakes in all the feathers back. Easy kill. And then CLG is like, you know what? Thanks for the free fight. Thanks for the free win because we're going to go take Baron.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, fast forward like literally 2 minutes from this happening. Darshan is actually killed by multiple members of Dignitas, but he buys enough time for CLG to crack open Dig's base and takes the inhibitor. And then essentially once he respawns, they just make that final push and take the win. Like an easy 2-0 so far for CLG. Like we're seeing clean games at this point by CLG.
It reminded me a lot of how LMQ played. It was just aggression.
Yeah, they're not taking the like, okay, we made one mistake. Let's pedal back a little bit here. They're being aggressive, but calculatedly aggressive.
For the most part, there are a few fights where they just like see champion, kill champion.
Yeah, it's almost as if they had put in a little extra preparation.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah. So how does the picks and ban turn out for Game 3?
All right, for Game 3, can you expect Dignitas to ban a certain champion? I can, because of course they do. They ban Aurelion Sol, Vel'Koz, and Rakan. So that Aurelion Sol, 3 games in a row. They're just, everyone's so scared of HuHi. CLG counters with the Zac, Kalista, and Maokai ban. So into the first phase, Someday actually first picks J4. So, I mean, he did a really good job in Game 2 on J4. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to pick it up. At least J4 If I need to put my carry pants on, I can put my carry pants on. CLG responds with picking up Tristana and getting Omar God Gragas, comfortable champion when you're at match point. And then into round 2, Keen gets Talia and Altec gets Xayah. Talia Xayah is weird to say back to back. I don't know why. And then they pick up Kassadin for HuHi. Kassadin. I wasn't really expecting that.
No,
that's a bit of an odd pick for HuHi to take.
But the casters did mention how it is a pretty good counter pick in favor of Kassadin. It is a pretty good counter once you hit level 6.
Yeah, once you hit level 6, you've got a way to kind of get around a lot of Talia's kind of crowd control. I mean, you can easily just ult right over her wall, but you can also just ult around her little shove on the bottom, right? So it's like you actually aren't landing on it. You're not moving. You're teleporting, so you don't get hit unless you land on it by her.
Yeah, it is a blink, stuff. So it shouldn't. I'm pretty sure it's a blink, so it shouldn't actually trigger the.
It doesn't trigger the effect as far as I know.
Stones.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, so that means that Dignitas responds with some more bans. So Dignitas ends up banning Renekton and Camille. So they clearly really did not like that Camille at all. And CLG responds by banning Blitzcrank and Cho'Gath. Not really sure what they were thinking. I guess Cho'Gath has been a pretty consistent-ish ban. That's last game they banned him as well, but the Blitzcrank ban I almost feel is almost a troll ban, but at the same time not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a team ban Blitzcrank before, except against CLG. Anyways, those are banned off. So that means we swap over and CLG gets to take a first pick here. And they pick up Thresh for Afro. So it's kind of nice to see Afro on Thresh. Kind of nice playmaking support with the hooks.
Mm-hmm.
Dignitas then takes their final 2 picks into Elise for Shrimp and Braum for Adrian. And then over to CLG we go. And of course, what better champion at match point to give to Darshan than the Zion Spartan Jax?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, we've got match point here. Zion, you wanna come show up? And then Darshan kind of looks around. He's like, hold on, let me go cut my hair. And he comes back out with his Darshan boots on. Or Zion Spartan.
What are you saying?
I don't know what I'm saying here, actually. I don't know. Anyways, Darshan picks up Jax, one of my favorite champions of all time.
All right. So, Going into game, things could not be better of a start for CLG. Super chaotic fight, which ends just about as quickly as it begins, as Elise tries to invade onto the Raptor camp. Even if it's just to get a little bit of vision, but CLG comes prepared. And, Elise is forced to turn tail, and the rest of Dignitas tries to help out, but it's just not enough. Darshan comes in from the top side behind the Baron, prepares his counter-strike right before flashing in for the stun and picks up the first blood. And all of this happens before the first minute of the game.
Yeah.
And you can't think of a better person for this to go to.
No, not at all. Basically giving a Jax first blood is basically like saying, here, snowball, please.
Yeah, so Darshan's able to go back and pick up a early longsword, and all of a sudden, in a matchup that he probably should be getting a little bullied in, he starts bullying Sunday around.
6. Yeah.
So, around 7 minutes in, HuHi is actually about to die because he gets hit with a particularly nasty shove that's done by Keen. And what happens? Omar God has to actually flash in, and he body slams to save his mid laner. But Omar gets caught because Elisa showed up, and he gets hit by the cocoon. So what happens? They both start pathing a little bit closer to the little bush area. And what happens? Aframu shows up, tosses out the dark passage, and Omar Guard takes it, and he stays alive. HuHi jumps back in and does just enough damage onto Elise that what does Aframu do? He comes in, flays her backwards, and picks up the kill in style with an Ignite and Empowered Flay auto.
Nice. Yeah, and then just a couple minutes later, Dignitas actually takes the first Infernal Drake. There's actually quite a few of those this time. But CLG responds by sending 4 top to pick up the first turret of the game. So, I mean, Dignitas gets a little bit of an extra 80 AP early in the game, but CLG gets first turret gold across 4 members.
Right. So, I mean, as the game stretches later on, you probably like that Infernal Drake a lot more. But if you want an early snowball, you can't really beat the first turret gold on top of your first blood.
Yeah, the combination of that is going to get people rolling a lot more than that small amount of APAD.
Unfortunately, what happens at the 16-minute mark?
Yeah, so a fight breaks out, and Dignitas actually takes the second Infernal Drake. So that's kind of like, okay, maybe we need to get on the next dragon. CLG ended up burning both of the TPs from their solar laners for nothing. They have priority on Herald, and they collect that objective.
Right, because, we already burned our TP. We're close to the mid lane. We may as well shove it in and go get that. So, a little further down, and CLG starts to set up their 1-3-1 comp. You've got Jax in one lane, HuHi on the Cassie in the other, and then you've got the 3-man squad of Zikz, Afremu, and Omar just trying to defend as much as they can. Now, the problem with the 1-3-1 is that you want to buy as much time by stalling out so that you can let your solo laners, who ideally are strong enough to win their 1v1s, that you just sit there, you wave clear, and let them do their thing. Unfortunately, Dignitas picks some very smart fights, and they're able to pick up both the mid lane first turret and pick up some kills. And again, this is just by overwhelming them with sheer numbers. However, CLG is actually winning in map pressure because they've got Cassidy on the bot lane, getting really close to taking a turret. They've got Jax doing Jax things on the top side and just already pushing in the waves. So it looks a little bad, but then you start to realize, hey, CLG has so much map pressure, and this actually results them in getting an Ocean Drake around the 23rd minute mark. Sorry, a Mountain Drake, my bad. Dignitas does manage to respond in kind by taking the top lane tower, but this is actually, it's not too bad still. Around the 26-minute mark, HuHi's actually trailing Darshan, because what happens is J4 is there, and he's like, alright, come fight me, Jax. Except it's not actually a 1v1, he cheats a little bit and gets his mid laner to come help. HuHi's like, hey, I got you, bro. I'm here.
Teamwork.
Exactly. CLG solo laners managed to pick up the double kill in favor of CLG, and they live with just slivers of hit points. We're talking near single-digit hit points.
Jeez.
However, they still have a little bit of minion wave, and Jax does Jax things. It's like whack, whack, whack. Down goes the turret.
Thunk, thunk, thunk. You've triggered your ultimate 3rd hit or 4th hit passive, and it's like, oh, well, that's nice. It's whatever. Just keeps that sound going. I love the sound. Mm-hmm. So good.
Yep.
Thunk, thunk, thunk.
All right. So around the 30-minute mark, CLG actually wins a fight, and this time we're like, sweet. This Infernal Drake is all ours. And it's actually super important that they get that, because you do not want to fight a team with triple Infernos.
No, you don't. Especially in the late game. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's like half a Rabadon's cap.
Yeah, so to actually win this fight, the CLG backline is a little bit preoccupied with Dignitas' front line, and HuHi actually dives in. They got 3 people on Dignitas and keeps them all occupied, somehow dodging all of the skill shots and staying alive. I have no idea how he does it, but in the end, it allows CLG to clean up the fight. So, at this point, you're Someday. Yep. You're the big carry guy on the team. You're the reason why they're actually in the playoffs.
And you're playing J4.
You're playing J4. And you can tell Someday was starting to get a little bit desperate. And around the 33-minute mark, all this was summed up in a team fight, which is basically Someday versus the world. Omar, Zikz, and Afro all fall in a major brawl, and Someday picks up the triple kill. But HuHi and Darshan, what do? They pull on the cleanup duty. And, even though Someday does manage to pick up the unofficial Quadra onto HuHi, who was going to go down with just 1 hit point, Darshan is the ultimate winner, and he's the king of the hill. Proceeds to go down mid And again, he does Jax things, starts whacking on the minions, starts whacking the turret.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens after that?
So basically, I mean,
Someday's getting pretty desperate.
Darshan,
What is he building?
Yeah, Darshan does Darshan things, but Someday decides he's going to build a Dusk Blade. A Dusk Blade on J4. You can tell he's a little bit desperate. Darshan, he's going to do a little bit of a throwback to the Zion Spartan days like we were mentioning earlier. And they ended up doing a 1v1 against Someday.
A real 1v1 this time.
A real 1v1 this time. Basically, though, that's all that it takes is buying enough time for CLG to pick up Baron.
Mm-hmm.
So Darshan 1v1 Someday, and that's perfect because they've got the time they need.
Oh, absolutely.
To take Baron.
And the best part about this is even though he's got a little bit of lethality, Darshan's like, yeah, that's cute.
Whatever.
That's cute.
I'm Jax.
Ult. Oh, look,
Yeah,
I have armor now.
I have tons of armor.
Yep. He actually ends up winning that 1v1 before the rest of Dignitas comes in and takes him down.
Yeah. So it's like basically he buys all that time. CLG takes Baron. And then CLG makes that final push to end the series 3-0.
Feels good, man. Feels CLG.
It does. It does.
Yep.
Yeah. So a quick little note. If you kind of noticed while we were reading over the champions that CLG played, CLG played 15 different champions that game, or that series. And there's only 3 series. So CLG, basically, they played, every member of CLG played a different champion every game.
And HuHi in particular deserves praise. Not only does he pick up the well-deserved MVP, he does it by playing on an early game AD carry with Lucian, a mid to late game control mage with Orianna, and he has some fantastic shockwaves throughout that game. And he also plays a late game melee assassin on the Kassadin. Yeah. All this while drawing target bans on Aurelion Sol and Vel'Koz throughout pretty much the entire series.
Yeah, there was only one game where Vel'Koz wasn't banned, which was game 2. But he was like, that's fine, I'm just going to take Orianna.
And HuHi's effect on drawing bans is actually becoming such a big boon for CLG because teams are pretty much always banning Aurelion Sol at this point. And if they don't, you have to actually be worried about, is he going to play it or not?
Exactly. Like, if you don't ban Aurelion Sol, you run that risk. And, you know, HuHi has clearly stated before, he's like, I only play Aurelion Sol if it's a good matchup. But what do you think is considered a good matchup for him?
Right.
Because
no one's played it.
No one plays it. Yeah.
No one has experience with it.
Exactly. It's such a hard time to be like, okay, is this champion good against Aurelion Sol? I don't know. Let's pick it and hope he doesn't play Aurelion Sol.
Right.
Or you have to give up one of your 5 bans to ban Aurelion Sol, so you don't have to worry about it.
And not only that, even if it's a good matchup, he still may not play it.
Exactly, because he's like, well, all right, that's fine. You have the better matchup. I think a lot of the time when he picks Aurelion Sol, it's kind of that last pick where they are going to pick Aurelion Sol to counter the mid lane pick.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they've already locked in mid, then he'll pick it.
Right.
I don't think he's ever blind picked Aurelion
No,
Sol.
I don't think he's ever blind picked it except perhaps the very first game against RNG at MSI.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, where he had the lane-wide star come down mid.
Mm-hmm.
And could have stunned an entire team. I think he actually stunned 4 of them.
I still think it's sad that we never won that game, but
I know. It's like, what is he doing? That's ridiculous. It was so good.
But even so, fun times.
Yes, fun times. So that does mean CLG wins 3rd place in the summer finals.
Honestly, we look like a 3rd place team right now.
We did. The way we kind of stomped through Dignitas, they were essentially at this point our hardest opponent. I believe we 2-0'd Cloud9 in the regular season.
A 2-0 series, not 2-0 games, but yes.
Yes, yeah. So the series was 2-0. we had, I think both of those series went 2-3 games, but we beat them twice.
Yes.
Whereas Dignitas, I believe, had our number
once.
They beat us
2-0
once, yeah. And so it was kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see that we did beat Dignitas cleanly with very little kind of heart attacky stuff. So
we were firmly in control for most of the games to the point where we didn't really get heart attacks. We were just that far ahead.
You were far ahead. It's like even if we lost one skirmish, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-mm. It's a nice feeling. It was really foreign to me.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
It was. It felt nice to not risk, having to go to the hospital.
Right. So this means that FlyQuest is going to be up against Dignitas for the first match in the Gauntlet, and that's going to be, at the time of this recording, Friday. That was the Friday the 8th. Then CLG would play on the 9th against the winner of that match, and the winner of that match on the 9th play up against Cloud9 as the final boss of the Gauntlet on the 10th.
Yep.
And I honestly think CLG can make it.
I think so. CLG, whoever they come up against, FlyQuest or Dignitas on Saturday,
we should win.
We should win. It would be an expected win, especially after we beat down Dignitas so handedly this weekend.
And honestly, Dignitas looked much stronger than Cloud9.
Yeah. And so I think, it's going to be a tough fight against Cloud9 for sure. It's for a trip to Worlds, and everyone's going to bring they're going to show all their guns, because you know what? Even if you make it to Worlds and you don't make it out of the pools, you were at Worlds. Mm-hmm. Like you were there for a reason, and you were the third best team in your region.
And actually, NA will have to play in the play-in stage this year. So let's say CLG manages to go through the Gauntlet. Then they go into the play-in stage, and similar to how TSM had to play against the Gigabyte Marines at MSI during the play-in stage. Similar sort of thing would be for CLG in this case, where they have to go up against some of the wildcard teams. And yes, they are our weakness, but that means that if CLG does win through there, not only does it give Omar God a little more experience to play on the stage before Worlds, or I guess technically at Worlds, that means we shouldn't be facing against any of the wildcard teams at Worlds. So
yeah,
there it is. We can't lose to wildcard teams if there aren't any.
Exactly. It's like if we can beat the wildcard teams, then we don't have to play against the wildcard teams. So therefore, we can beat SKT.
Exactly. So we just need to get matched up against Longzhu or SKT, and we win, right? That's how this works.
Exactly. That's how it works. That's how they come from. Because no one's gonna bet on CLG to beat SKT. Right? So it's like if everyone thinks SKT or Longzhu is going to win, then CLG is going to win. That's how the casters called it, right?
We'll see. All right.
We'll see.
Let's move on to Smash.
Yeah, so there was a couple of events that happened this weekend. One of them was really weird, and I've got a bit of a write-up here on exactly what it is. So I need to run you guys down. It is called the Red Bull Smash Gods and Gatekeepers event, being held down in LA. It's a little weird. So it's a first of its kind melee event. S-Fight was invited as like a Smash God slash
S-Fight.
S-Fat, sorry, was invited as a Smash God slash Gatekeeper. So he was essentially a team captain. The other team captains ended up being Mewtwo King, Leffen, Mango, Plup, Axe, Chudat, and Wizrobe. Now, each captain was allowed to choose a disciple, and who else would S-Fat pick as his disciple other than his good old buddy Pew Pew U? From there, a pool stage was done with the remaining competitors in the top 32 basically kind of being the pool of people to choose from. So the remaining, after the captains picked their two more disciples, the remaining 16 players actually got to play it out for a $1,000 prize pool, kind of as like a side bracket. So the team for S-Fat was S-Fat, Pew Pew U, a guy, Ryan Ford, he's actually Canadian, so I was cheering for him, and Army. So Army is a Ice Climbers main. Ryan Ford is another Fox player. And of course, we have Pew Pew U on Marth and S-Fat on Fox. So the sets are all 1v1, best of 5, and the maps they play on are actually in a specific order. So the captains select who will be playing before each set, and they are blind selecting, so they don't know who they're going to be playing against. They just know the pool that's left of them playing against. So players can only compete once per set. So basically there's 5 games potentially going to be played. If SFAT plays first, SFAT can't play again until Game 5. Game 5 is a 2v2, and it has usual stage selection where they either agree or they do rock, paper, scissors. The winner gets to choose the stage. Game 1 is on Battlefield. Game 2 is on Yoshi's Story. Game 3 is on Dreamland. Game 4 is on Fountain of Dreams. And then Game 5 is the 2v2. It's kind of funny watching some of these games where they're like, if this goes to Game 5, like all Team SFAT has to do is win 2 games, because if it goes to Game 5, they win. There's no competing against PewFat. So the set 1 was up against Team Plup. Game 1, SFAT threw out Pew Pew Yu against Crush, and the winner.
He threw out. He's like a Pokemon.
He's a Pokemon trainer, man. It's like he's like I choose you, Pew Pew Yu. Wow, that actually really rhymed well. I choose you, Pew Pew Yu. Go against Crush, and of course the winner is Pew Pew Yu. Team SFAT goes up 1-0. Game 2, Army goes up, the Ice Climbers main, up against El Fuego, and the winner is Army. Team SFAT is up 2-0. Game 3, SFAT was like, look guys, let's close this out in style. I'll go up. He's up against Swedish Delight, who SFAT has never actually lost against in a competitive a competitive game match. And the winner is SFAT. Team SFAT sweeps Team Plup 3-0. Why don't you give us a rundown of set 2?
Right. So the next challenger is Team Wizrobe, and SFAT decides to send out, Pokemon Ryan Ford this time around, and he's up against Wizrobe. Now, apparently he had a wrong type or something, because Wizrobe actually ends up having the advantage, takes this one, and they're up 1-0. Then, he returns him and sends out Army against Drugged Fox, who, Wizrobe's, of course, he cheats just like the rest of us in Pokemon. He switches his Pokemon in between sets. Now, Drugged Fox is like, man, he's got the type advantage again. Picks up the win again. He's 2-0. This fight, SFAT's like, you know what? Alright, let's send out my ace. I'm going to send it out myself. Goes up against Hugs, and SFAT's like, yeah, that's right. This is why I'm the ace in this ace in the hole. He returns, gets a little bit of rest, sends out PPU, this time against MacD. And you know what? PPU, he comes out, he's clutch, ties it up 2-2. And then it goes up to Game 5, and we switched it up. Now we're not playing singles anymore, we're playing some doubles. Send out, of course, the classic PewFat. Pretty broken strat and team comps as far as things go. They need to nerf that a little bit. It's up against Drugged Fox and MacD. And of course, like I said, PewFat's a little broken. They're going to win it 3-2.
Oh, yeah. And we complete the reverse sweep.
So the next challenger then is Team Chudat. How does that go?
Yeah, so Team Chudat, Game 1, SFAT sends himself out versus West Balls. It actually ends up being West Balls who wins and putting Team Chudat up 1-0. Yeah, so like what are we doing here? Game 2, SFAT's like, okay. We got to send out the Ice Climbers, dude. We got to send out the Ice Climbers. And he's up against Fiction. So Army versus Fiction. Unfortunately, the winner is Fiction, and Chudat goes up 2-0. I mean, come on. It's CLG. We played Dignitas, and we swept them 3-0 with no heart attacks. We just had a reverse sweep, so we got to have another one, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Of course. So Game 3... we send out Pew Pew Yu versus Chudat himself. The winner, Pew Pew Yu. Yes. The reverse sweep is on its way. Game 4, Ryan Ford. And he's up against Mike Hayes. And Ryan Ford, holy crap. This dude saved our set. He was down so much, and he's like, no. Look, guys, look. We can't lose. We can't lose.
The
Disciple saves the day. Team SFAT ties it
yeah,
up.
it's like you're playing in Sun and Moon, and you're about to go down, and then your Pokemon just like stays alive, so you wouldn't be sad.
Yeah.
And then scores a critical hit because it wants to get praised. You could do it, Ryan Ford.
You could do it, Ryan Ford. Get that critical hit. So game 5. I mean, it's PewFat, obviously, and they're up against Westballs and Shootat, and the winner, PewFat, of course. That's the clutch.
I'm just imagining that, Ryan Ford's taking a beating, and we're sitting there putting Revives and Hyper Potions on SFAT, and Ryan Ford's taking a beating, but he doesn't want to go down, so you wouldn't be sad.
The reverse sweep is complete. So this actually means that Team SFAT makes it to the grand finals on the winner's side.
Yep. So that means we're up against Team Mewtwo King. Of course, it is Mewtwo. He is a king.
Yeah.
So
he is a king.
First things first, of course, SFAT decides to change up his strategy and says, you know what? Let's send out Pew. He's pretty high leveled. He's going up against the Duck. Oh wait. Duck is actually pretty strong. Duck picks up the win.
Yeah. Duck does really well against.
All right. Let's send out our ace. Send out SFAT. He's going up against Shroomed. Oh wow, Shroomed is actually over level 2. What is this? This is pretty bullshit. You're facing gets a champion. It's just, hey, he's not allowed to have these broken moves. Of course. Yeah. All right. Let's send out Ryan Ford. Ooh, he's up against Zoo. This isn't going so well. Team Mewtwo King has a picking up set 1-3-0. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
So you know what happens here? Team Mewtwo King just beat the champion of the Elite Four, but guess what? Someone like 5 minutes before you just beat the champion of the Elite Four, and you have to face him. Now you have to face him.
Yeah, and in fact, it's actually us. Like, no. This doesn't work.
It's actually the guy you just beat. Yeah, he just beat himself just earlier. And he's in the other room waiting
he's just
for
a
you.
Cheating bastard. He runs up from one room. He runs all the way up before you. Oh, you gotta face me again.
Yeah, you gotta face he's like, hold on, someone else beat you. It's like, oh, who beat me here? And he's like, you throw a smoke bomb down the grenade, smoke bomb down the floor, and you run into the other room. He's like, come in. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, so Team Mewtwo King advances forward. Everyone's fully rested up again. This time, SFAT is like, you know what? I'm gonna start things off. I'm gonna start off strong. I'm gonna go up against Duck. Wait, hold on now. He got a critical hit. We lost. What is this?
Oh no.
Mewtwo King takes the lead. And then, alright, you know what? Let's send out Army. Army's going to go up against Zhu. And, probably should have sent an actual army, because kind of gets crushed.
He did. It was a random army against the Chinese army. They're outnumbered 10-1. Even though Army outnumbered Zhu 2-1. Technically. There's 2 ice climbers.
Alright, so then we sound out Ryan Ford against Shroomed, and you know what? Team Mewtwo King's just got all the momentum on their side. Winner Shroomed. Ryan Ford's got the crowd chanting for him, but in the end, Mewtwo King's that one guy that actually goes and gets the highest IV Pokemon and then EV trains them. Shroomed's just way too fast, man. Ryan Ford can't keep up.
No.
So they take the win.
They take the win, and that means that Team SFAT comes in second place though at the Red Bull Smash Gods and Gatekeepers event. I think it was an overall the tournament was actually pretty fun, and I really think they should redo this again. Like, it was kind of a weird tournament.
It's kind of fun to watch though.
It is, because it's like the casters for the game were actually like super pumped, and like they're talking strategies like, they got to save SFAT to go up against, to have SFAT against Westballs. Like, that's the best matchup you can get, right, for Westballs. But like, you want to save SFAT for Hugs, and if SFAT can beat Hugs and they can go up 2-0, then it's all over, because Game 5 is going to be PewFat, and PewFat's the best. It was a good watch, and so Red Bull, if you're listening, do this again. Though I do want to shout out to Army and Ryan Ford. Those guys were pretty awesome to have on our team. Both fantastic players. They look like they had an amazing time, and you got to give Ryan Ford a high five for basically saving our asses against Team Shootat. Yeah.
while being down because we're trying to heal SFAT.
Exactly. We're trying to pump him full of revives and hyper potions. Get up! We need you for game 5. Ryan Ford's winning.
He's taking the beating for us. All right.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
So we're gonna move on to Wii U, and Void was at PAX, just not the day you were there.
No, I mean he might have been around at some point, but everywhere I looked, I couldn't find the guy. Unfortunately, wearing full CLG swag. So yeah, Void was at PAX West, not PAX Prime. But yeah, I was only there for Saturday, unfortunately, so I didn't get to see him. Feels bad, man. He was taking part in the PAXArena Wii U tournament. So they had a whole bunch of stuff going on over the weekend. Tons of fighting games going on for tournaments. If you guys like, Injustice 2 or Street Fighter or anything like that, highly recommend checking out the VODs of that. It was actually a pretty hype tournament, and the crowd was pretty awesome to have because it was very drop-in. Just kind of like they got this huge area sectioned off to come in and watch, and you just come sit down and watch some pretty high-level Smash and Injustice and stuff like that. It was good stuff. It was a 2-day tournament, but only 12 players were actually invited. So they basically took the top 12 players that they could get in, and that included Void, as well as Zero, MK Leo, Nairo, Ally, Larry Lur, Captain Zach, Salem, Tweak, Anti, Conga, and Cosismos. That's a weird name.
I think it's Cosismos, isn't it?
Cosismos. That's right. Very tough event. And instead of a bracket system, they actually broke the players into 2 groups of 6, and the top 5 from each group moved on to day 2, which basically then became the usual bracket system of, winners and losers. So why don't you tell us how Void started off?
Sure. So, excuse me. So Void starts off in a group with Ali, Larry Lur, Zero, Conga, and Tweak. So the first challenger was Ali, and Ali gave Void a really hard time and actually beats him 2-1. So Void starts off in this tournament with a loss. And always sucks to do that. But then he goes up against Larry Lur, tries to shake it off, and Larry Lur's like, nah, I'm gonna bitch slap you back down. You're gonna go down 2-1. After Larry comes Zero, and man, Void is not having a fun time. He goes up against Diddy Kong, and anyone who's ever faced against Diddy Kong knows that stupid monkey's super hard to pin down.
So hard to pin down.
Stupid bananas, and Void slips and falls down to a 2-0 defeat. Now he's looking at a 0-3, and he goes up against Conga. And, he already faced up against Diddy Kong, goes up against another monkey, Donkey Kong. This time, Void gives him a good run for his money, picks up one of the wins in the set, but ultimately loses 2 of them, and Conga prevails. And, now it's looking really dire for Void, because he needs to win against Tweak. And, again, he's up against a Cloud player. And I think
Dirty Cloud, man.
I think Archon's been pretty vocal about his love for Cloud.
Oh man.
But Void,
Dirty Cloud.
We know he can be clutch when he needs to. He puts on his carry pants and he's like, all right, you know what? I'm not going out. Not yet. 2-0. Let's pick out that win.
Mm-hmm.
This means that Void gets to move on to day 2, but as the 5th seed in the losers bracket. So pretty rough start, but he still gets to move on. So how does he do day 2, man?
Yeah, so starting off in day 2, Void faces off against Captain Zach. Zach actually took the first 2 games, but in classic CLG fashion, Void gave us a heart attack, but in the end, finishes the reverse sweep, takes it 3-2. Next up was Larry Lur. The dirty DK main, man, has been pretty big thorn in Void's side lately. It's really easy for Donkey Kong to kind of like offstage you and just like really easily crush you, because it takes almost for a Sheik, at least for the lighter characters, it takes DK at nearly 170% damage to really be able to like smash kill him. And it was a pretty crazy tough set of matches, but in the end, Void comes out 3-1. Next up was Ally. Void put up a pretty good fight, being down 2-0 to start. Getting his match point round was close, but Void did close out game 3. However, game 4, it did seem like Ally had his number, And, I mean, Ally took a Void stock pretty early on. Void got Ally up to about 120%, something like that. And in the end, Ally does take Void down 3-1.
So, not the best of tournaments for Void, but it was a pretty tough set of people to fight against.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's all we've had for this week.
Yeah, so that basically means Void finishes the event in 5th place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So definitely a fun week of CLG stuff, though.
It is, yeah. It was a pretty good week. I mean, good showing by both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, CLG takes 3rd place in League of Legends.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Zikz Law summoned. He tossed all of his Pokemon, but in the end, he used HuHi and Darshan. They were both super effective.
Yep.
And, everyone else also showed up. They had their key roles. They played Team SFAT. They did pretty well until they went up against the cheaters with Mewtwo King.
Mewtwo King never actually played. It was kind of funny.
Again,
it was,
like I said, Mewtwo King's that one guy that goes up to just a casual event with his full, competitive team, all Ivy, perfect, and EV trained, EV bred. EV trained Ivy bred. God damn it.
It just seems so weird to be like, oh yeah, EV Ivies. Like, what the hell are those? I remember hearing about them in playing Gold and Silver. I was like, what the hell is an IV trained Pokemon?
I don't understand. I never bothered to get into that. Like, I can't.
No, I didn't either.
I can't. It's just way too time consuming for me.
I tried it once and I was like, wow, my Pokemon gained 24 speed in one level up. That's kind of ridiculous. And then I was like, but this took me 3 hours to level him up, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, it's a lot better now, but
yeah,
I just can't.
No, too much. All right, guys. Yeah, that is CLG this week. We want to thank you very much for coming out. The CLG Faithful Podcast is a weekly podcast that goes over all things CLG. If you do enjoy what we do, please do take a few moments to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, or give us a rating on iTunes and Google Play. We do enjoy getting your feedback, so please send us your thoughts over at clgfaithful@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you.
Yep, and hey, just want to say once again, thanks everyone for listening. We made 31 episodes, and we're definitely going to keep doing this.
Absolutely. All right, guys, peace out. This has been Archon.
This has been Nefarious, and this is the CLG Faithful Podcast, signing off.
Peace.